everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, my guest tonight has made history as the first black woman to serve on the United States Supreme Court and has just written a book about her life called Lovely One. Please welcome to The Late Show, Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson. I assume, please have a seat, everybody. Welcome to the show. I assume that's the greeting you get at the Supreme Court when you walk in as well.
Every day.
Every day. Lovely to have you on. Nice to meet you. I always like talking to Supreme Court justices, whether still on the bench or Justice Breyer, who has come by a couple of times since he's left the chair. And it's always fascinating to talk to a Supreme Court justice, even though I know in this conversation you are going to frustrate me to no end when you don't answer questions about cases that are before the court.
Yes, well, unfortunately, that is a limitation.
All right. And I hope I don't frustrate you too much when I ask them anyway.
Yes, okay.
Good. You have a new book. Here we are, right here. It is called Lovely One, which is the translation of your middle name?
Of my name, my whole name.
Your whole name?
My first and middle name is an African name that my parents gave to me when I was born.
Yes.
My aunt was in the Peace Corps in Africa, and my mother wanted to express pride in our African heritage, and so Ketanji Onyeka means lovely one.
Well, in the book, you share something you don't see often. In the memoir, you state that even back in high school, you dreamed of becoming a federal judge. Here you are in your high school senior year Hall of Fame.
Yes.
It says, regarding her future, Ketanji said, I want to go into law and eventually have a judicial appointment.
Yes, in high school.
Well, yeah, you didn't say be a judge, you said have a judicial appointment. That's really taking it seriously at a young age.
I was already choosing my words carefully.
And what was it about having a judicial appointment that appealed to you so much?
I had heard of Constance Baker Motley, who was the first African-American female judge on the federal bench, and we happened to share a birthday. And it was so motivational for me, and as a middle schooler, I just thought being a judge was the coolest thing.
Well, you write also in the book about how the Civil Rights Act and the Voting Rights Acts were so important to you as a child. And I know you can't share your opinion of Justice Roberts taking a chainsaw to those. But why were they so meaningful to you? And I'm curious what you think of Justice Ginsburg's interpretation of the argument that was made by the majority that, well, we don't really need these the entirety of these acts anymore because racism isn't as influential in our voting or in our expressed public rights anymore. And she said that's like saying, well, I'm not getting wet, so let's get rid of umbrellas.
She did say that.
Yes.
I would say that these acts were very important to me in particular because I was born within 5 years or so of the Civil Rights Act and the Voting Rights Act. And my parents had grown up under segregation. And when I was born, it was like a door being opened to have these laws that allowed for Black people to do anything and to be a full part of our community. And so my parents really invested in me. They said, this is our opportunity, really. All the stuff that we didn't get to do growing up, now we want our daughter to be able to do that. And so I credit that with my success.
Were they in some ways an umbrella for your family?
They were, indeed. It's a nice metaphor.
Oh, yeah. So you agree with Justice Ginsburg's dissent in this case, is what you're saying? Okay, all right.
I'm not going to answer.
Now, Justice Breyer was a mentor of yours, wasn't he?
Very much so. I clerked for him.
Okay.
I had the great good fortune of getting to see him in his bicycle shorts when he would come into the court.
I'm sorry. Does the Supreme Court not have HR? I don't understand. Well, I said, I always enjoyed talking to him. It's always a good conversation. And he has publicly worried many times about the court being perceived as political. Pew reports that only 18% of Americans believe that SCOTUS keeps politics out of rulings. Do you share your mentor's concerns about this public perception?
Well, I'm aware that that is the public perception, and I think it's problematic for the court that that's a perception that the public has, because we really rely on public trust in order to do our jobs.
Yeah, your legitimacy merely comes from the public's perception of such.
I think so, yes. Yeah. And so it's a concern, for sure.
What do you think the best way to address that concern would be?
Well, I think, I am doing my best to do what judges do, what Justice Breyer modeled for me when I was a law clerk for him. Having integrity, separating out my personal views, staying in my lane.
How do you do that, though? How do you separate your own personal philosophy from or your political philosophy, which is influenced by your personal philosophy, from your judicial philosophy? How do you separate a statue from the marble it's made of?
Well, it's something that you're trained to do as a lawyer, and it's something that you practice as a law clerk. Because when you are clerking for a judge, you are responsible for helping to draft their opinions, and sometimes you may disagree with what you're doing, but you have to do your best to write in their voice and to put out legal rulings in the way that they would do it. So you learn how to separate out your own views from that of the law and the things that you were working on.
And are you confident that all the justices share that idea?
Yes, I am.
That is question. I don't know why that's a joke to you people. It's a simple question. Follow-up question, do you have any flags you like to fly? Like at Thanksgiving, would you put like a turkey flag out front? Some people like to do stuff like that.
No comment.
No comment, okay. We have to take a quick break, but right back with more Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, everybody. Stick around.